Welcome back to another episode of the Football Frauds Podcast. We're back, and we're doing a mock draft 1.0. You know what? We're not going to call it 1.0. We're just going to call it 1 because...
Mock draft 1.0.
Because calling it 0.0 doesn't make any sense because they just do 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Besides the point. We're doing a mock draft. It's our favorite time of the year. We're talking through prospects. We're going through each team. You can see where prospects land for you team. You can see where our takes are. We're basing this off what we would do if we were in the GM shoes. We're not trying to predict what the NFL is going to do. We're trying to look at team needs, look at where we have best player available, and then make picks through who we see is the most valuable player. Connor, how are you doing in this fine evening?
I'm doing pretty good, honestly. I have been excited to get into draft content. I feel like we've just been teasing it for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Being like, oh, this is something that's too big to pass up on.
We've been circling right around it, but not going in.
I'm so freaking ready for this. I am so freaking ready for this right now. Let's go.
We're diving in.
So we're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No snake draft order. We're just rotating around here in a circle. Via the flip of a three-sided coin, I received the first pick in the draft. And I am the Raiders here at pick 1. I'm taking Fernando Mendoza. Let's move on.
All right.
We have an episode on our feed, Mendoza versus Cam Ward. We talked about we think he's worth taking over as a number 1 overall pick. You know, it is boring. It's rote at this point, but he's worthwhile, and I think he's going to change the Raiders team.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about it more in our Big Boards episode. For now, we're going to focus on the rest of the draft class.
Yeah, coming to number 2, I do agree with the masses that it makes most sense for the Jets to go at edge. Right now, they just have Will McDonald, not much else at that position. Aaron Glenn's calling the defense now. So it comes down to that conversation, the Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain's kind of falling because he's a T-Rex. David Bailey. And I wish that one of those guys was a standout guy that's like you could believe that he is. Like, there's no Aiden Hutchinson. There's no Will Anderson. There's definitely no Myles Garrett. And if I look at all those guys, I don't want to make the Tyree Wilson or the Trayvon Walker risk of a traitsy guy that hasn't proven it enough.
You know what's wild, Matt?
What?
Is that since there's 3 guys that could potentially go here, if you're wrong and one of the other guys pans out, then everyone hates you.
Yeah, there's 2 options to be wrong.
But if there's just one person, then if he's wrong, it's like, well, who was I supposed to take? He was the guy.
True.
What do you mean?
Like it was consensus, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to go David Bailey. He's not a perfect player. He doesn't really fix their run defense. He's got more similarities to Will McDonald, but there's not that many perfect players at key positions in this draft. And David Bailey's proven he's got a bevy of pass rush moves. He's an animal coming off the edge, and I think he makes sense to the Jets here.
David Bailey, 6'3", 250, will be 23 at the start of the season. I definitely think that's a good fit. And if I'm being 100% honest, I don't know if you can even go wrong in any of those 3 guys if you're the Jets. And I agree that they definitely need to go edge. So,
Connor on the clock with the 3rd pick. The Arizona Cardinals have needs across their roster. They're sitting here staring in the face Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Ruben Bain. Could go tackle here. It's common mocked Maui Noah or Fano to the Cardinals. Connor, what's going on in your head right now if you're the Cardinals GM?
If I was the Cardinals, 100% I would trade back. I don't like this spot, and especially with the talent that's on the board right here. You wish there was more QB talent, obviously, but there's not. And with your team needs, there's no one really screaming. And so if you're going to draft here, I'd say you take the best available. And to me right now, I agree with PFF's board, and I would take Arvell Reese here. And I guess Arizona is a team that has needs almost everywhere. And
certainly.
There is not a position that I look at on Arizona that couldn't get better. And so,
no question.
When you look at Arvell Reese, between him and Ruben Bain right now, in terms of edges, Arvell Reese is the more dynamic, flexible. If you are going to draft a guy and you have multiple positions to fill, he's someone that you can put in different parts of your defense if you find out that, maybe he's not an edge.
Yeah. If you want to try him an edge, I think that makes sense. Shoot for the upside. But you always have that fallback. Their linebacker room is not complete right now. Could definitely fill him in there after a year or so.
Exactly. And, so I'm going Arvell Reese.
Titans here at 4, trying to build around franchise quarterback Cam Ward after a up and down season. Matt, what's your pulse at with Cam Ward right now?
You want to see more this year. You got to hope that Brian Daboll can bring more out of him, but you're seeing more in year 2. I think he proved a decent amount in year 1 that he can hang even with a terrible situation around him. I don't love the options to instantly improve in the draft. There's not like a clear-cut tackle or receiver that's going to shoot the Titans to the moon here, though.
Yeah.
That being said, my initial instinct here is to lean offense and just kind of index my franchise around making sure that Cam Ward has everything that he needs to become and develop and to be, under Brian Daboll, a good offensive player in this Titans system. I'm sitting here looking at the board. I see Francis Maui-Noa, the tackle who I like the most in this draft. They already have J.C. Latham at right tackle, and at left tackle, the man they gave the bag to, $20 million a year from the Steelers.
Dan Moore? Or what do you...
Dan Moore, well done.
Okay.
Not an immediate tackle need, but they have a lot of assets invested there. Maui-Noa could move inside. But the top player on my board here is Ruben Bain. I don't care about the arm length for now. That could be an issue in the future. But as Trevor Sikkema pointed out in his podcast, Bain doesn't use his arm length to his advantage. He wins with power. In some respects, having shorter arms, you could say, actually lends itself to him winning easier. He's not trying to get around guys and rip and get outside and use speed to get on the outside of outside protectors. He's going through guys. And he has pop in his hands and power in the way he throws his hands that is different. Like capital D different, like S tier, Jared Verse. Like, I mean, a lot of teams would look at him as defensive tackle level power off the edge.
Almost 25% pass rush win rate this year.
Damn.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's almost unheard of. He has this unbelievable. I mean, in the college football playoff, it was electric watching him.
Yeah, they would line up Keontae Scott and Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain went on the edge, Keontae Scott in that like nickel, essentially a blitzing corner. And they were like, look, you can do a lot of things right now, but one of them is not running to this side. You're not going to run over here, because if you do, good luck. You better call the ambulance, because someone is going to the hospital if you do.
And that's the
These
thing.
guys are savages over here.
That's the thing about Bain too, compared to Bailey. And Bailey, I'm probably above of him on Bain. Bain is great against the run, despite his limited length. He gets through power wise through tackles so well and sets the edge at an elite level despite his length. He just sets a floor, as even if his length ends up being kind of something that is destructive to him against elite tackles with power and length, he's going to set the edge in the run game. He's going to at least present a floor as a pass rusher where I don't think his floor is lower than being a league average edge.
Yeah.
Despite his limited length.
Oh, definitely. High floor.
All right, so we going Bain?
I'm taking Ruben Bain here for the Titans.
Heck yeah.
That brings me over to the New York Giants. I got different thoughts for the Giants here. I subscribe to that young quarterback, want to give him an environment to where he can build, grow some confidence. So then I'm looking at offensive line. They have a Greg Van Roten and Jermaine Illuminor, a guard and tackle for them that are free agents. And they don't have a lot of cap space, so we'll see in free agency coming up. If they don't re-sign those guys, I think offensive line is definitely a big need, which that attracts me to the thought of Francis Maui-Noa. I think he's a guy worthy of taking in the top 10, and he has that guard tackle flexibility we've talked about, and they have openings in both spots. Specifically, I think Andrew Thomas is their left tackle, and Jermaine Illuminor was their right tackle, so Maui-Noa could fill right in there. I'm actually really torn because they have a defense with a lot of guys on defensive line, but not much in their back seven, so I'm also drawn to Sonny Styles. I think he could immediately upgrade the run and pass defense and just really make them more vicious. I'm torn here. I was thinking Sonny Styles 2 minutes ago, but I think I am going to just say depends on free agency, but I'm going to go Maui Noah. Put him at right tackle. He has the option to fall back to guard, build your offense, see what you got in Jackson Dart, and go offense for a young quarterback.
I like it.
Tackle's so hard to find compared to receiver. They're set on the defensive line. That's kind of where you want to spend premium draft picks.
You know what could be cool for the Giants here? Go defense with this pick and maybe get Maxi and Onshore in the second round, or maybe slightly trade up to try and get Monroe Freeling. Or
there's early second
Caleb Lomu
offensive line talent in this draft. So I definitely think that could be a good opportunity. But also, if you're a Giants fan, I wouldn't be complaining about Maui Noah at 5.
And there's linebackers to take at pick 35 as well.
Exactly.
So you could go either way. Right now I'm going to take Maui Noah, and then you just rely that you have that offensive piece to move forward with.
Yeah. And so that puts me on the clock at pick 6 with the Cleveland Browns. And they had an all-star draft last year. I mean, I don't know if anyone can argue that they had the best draft class.
Not a question in my mind.
Yeah, besides Dylan Gabriel, they hit.
Yeah.
Non-premium positions, running back, tight end, linebacker, but they're getting great players.
Yep. And I still think Mason Graham in that trade, so worth it. Mason Graham was so worth it.
Yep. He played solid for them.
Played solid, and you know what? He can always come back and have an even better season this next season.
Yeah.
So
the Browns just traded for Titus Howard from the Texans, so they have a right tackle set up. Pretty much no other pieces, but they have a right tackle. I believe he's going to play tackle for them.
Yeah, and so that puts me here looking at the Browns roster, and they're obviously their biggest need that they need to fix as a franchise is their quarterback, but they have so much in dead cap that it doesn't make sense to do it in free agency, and it doesn't make sense to do it in the draft this year. And so all you can do if you're the Browns is try to set up the base for the rookie quarterback next year. They have needs for our offensive line, but I am very high on a guy at wide receiver this year. He's one of the big 3, but he is not.
Is it Chris Bosh?
Yes, it's Chris Bosh. Actually, it's LeBron James.
Okay.
He's switching over.
Not one.
Not 2.
I
was just going to do that.
Yeah. But I think that the smart move would be to take an offensive lineman here. But I'm really leaning on Jordan Tyson. I love his upside. He is my number 1 wide receiver this year. I know he has injury concerns, but he has the highest ceiling out of any of the wide receivers this year.
Yeah.
He's coming off a collarbone injury. He didn't perform at the combine. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to do a pro day or do anything at a pro day.
I would hope so.
I brought it up before. His brother plays for the Cavaliers.
Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it'd just be the perfect storyline to me.
Oh,
just have
damn,
both of
that's
them
sick.
playing in Cleveland.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if this is a real thought, but the idea that his brother kept getting better as he turned into a pro, part of me feels like, well, that means, of course, Jordan Tyson's only going to keep getting better.
There's something
true.
there.
I feel like there's something there for sure.
Yeah. Yep. 6'2", 200 pounds, and will be 22 this season.
Elite separator.
And I like his contested
I think
catch as well.
he reminds you the most of the other top 5 guys like Malik Neighbors or or Amon-Ra, just like the ability to separate intermediate and then like immediately turn into a threat.
Yep.
His deceleration, I think, is what separates him. His ability on stop
just
routes
on a dime
and comebacks, like he's going full speed, he just stops and he has this ability to decelerate.
And the cornerback is like, woo!
Yeah, just different. Sitting here at 7, the Washington Commanders have needs all over the place. They got Josh Connerly Jr. and Laramie Tunsil at tackle, so I'm not really leaning towards Fano, Freeling, some of these tackle guys who have got up, who I don't consider to be premium assets. Fano, in my mind, is a great guard, a decent tackle. Could go Carnell Tate here, but one player has risen above the rest in my mind. Jeremiah Love had a elite year at Notre Dame. He's a blue chip prospect, but I am just personally not going to buy into taking a running back that high, Sonny Styles is the pick here. You have a awesome opportunity here to just set up a guy in the middle of your defense who I think is the rare player who can elevate the rest of your defense from the second level. He provides leadership at the interior of your entire defense. He was the leader of this defense this past year. It's not Caleb Downs, who's considered to be like an elite leadership, a great interview, like always been a like absolute pro since day one at Alabama as a freshman, where Nick Saban called him the best player on his team as a freshman.
Sick.
Styles is a different athlete, different tester. If you're Washington here, in my mind, you really can't pass on him.
You know what I found out just now? Sonny Styles is 6'5".
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That's crazy, dude. That guy's an animal.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Different.
Just, yeah. Yep, different level.
Yeah, he's got like long arms for, interrupting passing lanes too. Like he's really cerebral.
All right, Matt, you're on the clock with the Saints.
Let me click on Sonny Styles here. Okay, so the Saints. They got a lot of needs, kind of like the Browns, a lot of dead cap, and I was actually leaning Jordan Tyson. I think I have him as my receiver one. Like he has all the injury concerns, but to me, they're so across the board. I don't think of them as like universal. This is something where it's gonna keep coming up.
Yeah.
Like one thing. Dang. I think the Saints like their safeties. I'm settling between Mansour Delane and Carnell Tate here. I'm gonna go Carnell Tate. Give Tyler Shuck a weapon. I don't like an offensive lineman here. Even though I think they could add a guard and Fano could do that for them well.
Mm-hmm.
Rip Carnell Tate. They lost Rashid Shaheed, who kind of was that downfield threat. I think a wide receiver room of Devon Vele, Carnell Tate, and of course Chris Olave is going to be pretty lethal.
Yeah.
And if Tyler Shuck can keep elevating like we saw in his rookie year, this could be an above-average offense, which is crazy for what the Saints were walking into last year with the Rattler and Shuck. So hit Tate. Hopefully Kellen Moore can keep elevating this offense.
Yeah, I think that it's pretty much proven that if you have a guy who's relevant and a wide receiver at Ohio State, odds are that guy is pretty good at football.
Yeah.
Odds are he's probably going to be a savage at football.
I think Carnell Tate was there 4 years, so maybe he had overlap with Olave. Maybe not. But it's just funny, like Olave, that's a decent gap now.
Olave, JSN, Jameson Williams,
Garrett
Wilson,
Marvin Harrison.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Smith.
Oh, my God.
Jesus may have been in that wide receiver room.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, man.
Jesus might be in next year's draft class, and he goes by the name of
Honestly, yeah. Got to take
Jeremiah Smith.
Got a tank in Dynasty.
All right. That puts me at, honestly, probably the most intriguing first round of top 10 draft pick.
Oh, yeah.
At the Kansas City Chiefs.
Crazy.
This is a really, really interesting drop here.
Oh, my gosh. And so in a past podcast, I talked about how I don't like Jeremiah Love before pick 8, and I don't like him after pick 11. But for the sake of everyone in the entire world who watches football, I hope that the way the board falls is not how it is on draft night.
No. For Kyle's Dynasty team, I hope this is not how this happens.
Oh, my gosh.
Shots Kyle, our guy.
But yeah, I have always been really high on Jeremiah Love. What was it, like 4-ish months ago, maybe 5 months ago? I was watching film and I was like, I think Jeremiah Love might be a better prospect than Ashton Genty. And people that I'm close to, no one in this room, obviously,
Absolutely not.
said that I was a crazy psycho human being. And
I don't know who would have said that.
I bring it up a lot, but if you guys want to watch the greatest football cinema of all time, it's 2024 college football playoff, Jeremiah Love. Type that in. You will see one of the greatest runs of all time. And
find the TikTok of it. You need the song.
The song goes crazy with it. But I don't know if I've ever seen a greater display of contact balance than that play in and of itself. And it wasn't against scrubs. It was against Abdul Carter in one of the best defenses in college football, Penn State. It was crazy. It was crazy. And at the point in time in that game, I don't know if there was a more clutch play that year. That was the play.
It was truly a beautiful football play. Like, not even just like aggressive or muscular. It was just like, it was art being painted on. It was like a Bob Ross, like, wow, this is truly, I got to take this in for a second.
And all that to say, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to get Jeremiah Love in this draft.
I don't think the Chiefs want to take a running back, but in this situation, I could see where it's like, this guy's elite. He fills a need we have. Just got to do it.
I think you have to look at him as a receiver. Just like think about it in your mind as a game breaker with a really good offensive line who can take plays to the house with gaps that wouldn't be there for other teams, and then he provides upside in the receiving game. The Bengals sitting here at 10 after yet another disappointing season, their third straight, missing the playoffs, which sounds insane given they have Chase Burrow. The pick here is obvious to me. I'll cut right to the point. Caleb Downs is a player who a month ago at the start of my process was number one on my board, regardless of positional value, including positional value that changes a lot. Downs is a consummate pro, leader on Ohio State's defense. Watching some of the film, there's a play against Michigan where Davison Igbinosun gets the game-sealing pick, and he runs down the field, and he tears off his helmet, and they throw the flag. And Downs is sprinting behind him, and he's trying to get his attention. He's like, no, stop. He's like looking at him like, don't do that, because he knows Igbinosun's an idiot.
Yeah.
Igbinosun takes off his helmet, but just watching Downs and the way he conducts himself, seeing some of the interviews with him, in his consistent film the last 3 years, Alabama in year one as a freshman, the last 2 years at Ohio State, he's just a no-brainer, elite safety. The floor for him, to me, is being the 12th best safety in the NFL for the next 8 years. The ceiling is him being a Hall of Famer. And he doesn't have elite size and tools, so Styles has risen above for me on my non-positional value board because Styles presents an upside that Downs just can't, given his body size. Downs' ability to read the defense and make plays. There's example after example of him on film of jumping passing lanes before the quarterback sees it. He's elite in the box. You can put him in the box, move him around, and blitz him. You can put him as a cover 3 safety. You could fucking throw him on the outside and put him as a coverage corner if we wanted to. He can do all of it.
Yeah.
His floor here is undeniable. The Bengals just need a good player. They don't have a good infrastructure. They don't develop guys. Take a guy who doesn't need to be developed, Caleb Downs.
Heck yeah. I look at Caleb Downs and I go, now here's a guy.
Speaking of guys, I'm really going to be pretty boring here. You see this one a lot. If you're looking at need to players on the board, I think you just got to go corner here if you're the Dolphins. I haven't watched enough tape of Jermad McCoy versus Mansour Delane to make a super informed opinion. I think Delane presents enough of a ceiling and his health that at this high in the draft, I'd rather just take a guy that just put on good film and is at full health going forward. We saw Jermad McCoy wasn't even healthy enough to compete in the combine.
Yeah.
So whatever level's going on there.
To fill you in, the conversation is... Oh, my bad. Sorry. The conversation right now is that Delane is ahead of McCoy solely because Delane has the most recent film and the most recent testing. Jerome McCoy's pro day at Tennessee is going to mean everything for him.
Is he on track to be able to be there for that day?
Allegedly, yes. But we've seen it before that there's going to be a pro day and then the media comes and is mainly just interviews. And so maybe not. But in terms of them as prospects, I don't think, if you're watching the game film available, there's not much difference. But given the circumstances, Delane is, if you're going to take a dart throw, you got to throw it at Delane.
Yep, that's what I'm doing here. The Dolphins' cornerback room was completely barren. It all fell apart. Jalen Ramsey got old. They traded him. Every other role failed. Storm Duck is going to be out of there. Going Mansour Delane to the Dolphins.
All right. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry, guys. Hello.
Taking a little ad break here.
Yeah.
And we're back.
Yep, we're back. Okay, sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties over here. Our microphones are multi-million-dollar microphones, and I don't know why they are messing up.
It's AI technology. It's cutting edge.
Yeah, we don't want to bore you with that, though. So right now, I'm on the board with the Dallas Cowboys, and they just re-signed Javonte Williams, and so that need has been filled. They could use some depth, but they're not going to look at it in round one, obviously. They have young talent on the edge in the guy from Boston College last year. I don't know if you remember who that was, Miles.
Donovan Ezraku.
And they can definitely use more on.
This is from our presenting sponsor, Sprite Plug. Have you ever wanted to consume Sprite in a way that's not via your mouth? What if you consume Sprite in different orifices of your body, such as your ears or your nose, or perhaps
Nope.
A bullet wound in your abdomen.
Sprite balls can be inserted in any part of your body. And you can consume them with carbonation, and they'll appear physically in your body wherever you'd like them to. There's even a Sprite chip, which you develop for $399.99, where you can simply click a different spot in your body and activate this electric Sprite battery acid taste anywhere in your body.
Why
You
is
can
it so
even taste it in your
spicy?
toes.
Powered by AI.
Sprite balls, powered by AI.
And that brings us back to the Dallas Cowboys at pick 12, and we'd love to hear what Connor has to say about it.
I'll tell you right now. All right, so I'm on the board with the Dallas Cowboys at pick 12, and so they just re-signed Javonte Williams, and who came off a great year. I think it's a great signing for Dallas, and it fills an obvious need on their roster. And so right now, their defense is kind of where I would go in this first round that they have here. And they have some young talent on the edge with Donovan Ezraku last year. He didn't have that amazing of a year, if I don't remember correctly. Maybe not. But I really liked his pass rush repertoire coming out of college, and I think that will translate eventually into the NFL. And so when I'm looking right now at where they are drafting and the people available to them right now, I am a little torn between everyone on the board right now because we just talked about how Jermon McCoy is injured.
Yep.
And they can definitely use some upgrades at corner.
And they do have Deron Bland and Chavon Ravel that are there. Maybe give him one more year to compete. I have an idea for you that I personally like.
What is it?
Keldrick Falk. He doesn't rush the passer, but between Quinnen Williams and Osa, they have a lot of guys that are designated pass rush types from the interior.
Yeah.
Someone really stout against the run, really athletic. I could see it working for them.
I can see it too, but the other thing that I can see them doing is moving off of Kenny Clark, who they got in the Parsons trade.
Yep.
And that would leave them with pretty much just Quinnen Williams in the...
And Osa Odigizua.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we already talked about that, right?
Yeah, I think they're paying him like $15 million a year. He's a decent player.
Yeah.
Still in the prime of his career.
I really like Caleb Banks a lot.
I don't think they can add DT.
I know, but
They're paying their D tackles $63 million a year right now.
I think they can cut Kenny Clark and save the $21 million. It'd be surprising if they add another DT.
Yeah. I might do something a little brash here and take one of my favorite safeties, and what you're seeing on the screen right now is Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. But I am going to switch that up.
Oh!
And I'm going to take Dylan Thieneman.
Stip, step, stip, step.
This is definitely a riser from the Combine. Miles, you know what he ran at the Combine?
Ran the 4.37.
4.37, Caucasian.
Oh, yeah.
6', 205.
He's actually a Sprite Plug sponsor, I'm pretty sure.
Thieneman. Thank you for
Allegedly.
your support.
But he had a great year at Purdue his freshman year. And then he transferred to Oregon. His first year there was a little rocky, but it's expected when you're competing for a better team and the slots are a little more obviously competitive to get. But this past year he was insane. And if I'm the Cowboys, I don't necessarily love this pick, but it fits your team's needs. I guess you're in a good spot of having a high draft pick, but not really needing too much of anything. If I had to choose one of my picks that I don't think would actually happen, it'd probably be this pick because I could imagine them drafting for succession.
Yeah.
And not drafting for need right now. And
Yep.
the odds that some of these get shaken up in between now and the draft, where it creates a hole.
And we'll see what they do in free agency. You know,
Exactly.
do they get mid-tier contracts at safety, or is it still a need going into the draft?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna take Dylan Thieneman.
I got the Los Angeles Rams here. They acquired this pick via the Atlanta Falconanos.
New team,
The
33rd team.
Rams do have a needed tackle, and there's intriguing prospects sitting here: Spencer Fano, Monroe Freeling, even Ian Achor, who I'm high on further down the board. But there's a guy sitting here for me. Jermod McCoy, his tape 2 years ago was elite. He got comps to Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo. Elite film 2 years ago, has ideal length, size, speed, can win in press, can win down the field. The Rams can all of a sudden in one offseason completely transform their secondary and present to be a top 5 defense in terms of talent with their elite D-line. They throw McDuffie and McCoy on the outside. All of a sudden, that defense looks a lot different with the looks they can present. They don't have to rely on zone anymore. They can go man and purely match up on guys and present like a man-zone confusion because of the way they can match up on the outside. McCoy, to my mind, is my cornerback 1. I'm concerned a little bit about the ACL stuff, but if I'm the Rams here, you have a little bit of margin for error. Bet on upside. Bet this guy can be closer to Quinyon Mitchell.
All right.
I think it makes a lot of. Damn it! I think it makes a lot of sense. Cornerback is like one of the only spots where they weren't good to great, and they got multiple needs there. So hit that up. I'm next with the Baltimore Ravens, and my idea of this as a team is that they have an unproven offensive coordinator in Declan Doyle. He was underneath Ben Johnson last year, and I think their head coach Jesse Minter. I think we've seen with the Chargers that he can do a lot with not the best players on defense. So I'd rather use the first-round pick, shore up the offense, their offensive line. They're losing their center, Tyler Linderbaum, in free agency. They're losing Daniel Falele, one of their guards, and their remaining guard, Andrew Voorhees, was not too impressive last year. So I'm going to shore up the interior of their offensive line. I'm going between Spencer Fano here and Olaiva Vega Ioanai. I've never seen Fano go this far, and I think it would come down to the team. But I'm going to go Fano here to the Ravens, play him at a guard spot because they need to have an elite offensive line, especially with Derrick Henry, where you want to get that downhill run game going. He needs a little bit of a gap to get up to steam. Let's go with Spencer Fano.
Heck yeah. 6'6", 308.
Could easily start at them for guard, and then if he ends up being a little bit better than we thought, in the future he can move off the tackle.
All right, that puts me on the board with the Bucks, and they are coming off a kind of disappointing season. Baker didn't have his best year. They have a lot of gaps that need to be filled for this season, and I personally think that they should focus on their offensive line first, and mainly because that kind of goes back to what we talk about a lot in how a lot of these positions you can fill in free agency, and there's no more just desert island than the offensive line free agents. And so you'll see a lot of teams reach on offensive line so that way that they have them in-house and they can keep them in-house and they don't have to overpay offensive line free agents.
At some point, you're going to want an offensive lineman. You're not sure when or what time, but it doesn't hurt to have depth.
And that's why I would go Vega here. They have a need at guard. Coming out of Penn State, he was very versatile in his first 2 years on the left and right side. This past year, he pretty much just played left guard. But I'm a fan of versatile offensive linemen. I think that he is a good fit for this team. And it's not a sexy pick, but it's going to make your team better. So, any thoughts, Miles?
Ioane is considered to be a close to blue chip guard by apparently via Todd McShay's connections among scouts and GMs. Feels like a high floor take here. This all of a sudden solidifies the Buccaneers' offensive line to have the talent to be closer to be top 5 every year, which gives the infrastructure with their receivers for Baker Mayfield to lend himself to be closer to being the guy he was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and a lot of those skill positions you can fill in the second and third round that they would claim that they have needs at. So I like it.
New York Jets sitting here. They're set at tackle. On the outside, they have Olu Fashanu and the young man they took last year, Armand Membu out of Missouri. 2 tackle cornerstones. This is a place where I'm going to lean tackle positional value here wise in the first round. They also have a big need at wide receiver. They acquired A.D. Mitchell last year in the Sauce Gardner trade. There's a young man by the name of Mekhi Lemon in the draft who I do not want to send to the Jets with everything in my heart. I don't think he's going to have success there. But Garrett Wilson sits there on the outside. He's an elite slot separator. Mekhi Lemon can kind of play a dual role in the slot, separate. This is the best player available here for me. You set up the situation for the Jets quarterback in 2027. They got all these picks to build around Mekhi Lemon to play beside Garrett Wilson and present the Jets with a very promising offensive infrastructure moving forward with 2 great tackles and 2 very good wide receivers.
I like it. I think it makes the Jets better, and it sets up whoever they take next year at quarterback, hopefully, fingers crossed for them, to have an offense that it's not just them having to throw hospital balls to not doctors. So
David Bailey and Mekhi Lemon, not bad.
Yeah, I love that for the Jets. I think it's a valuable position at a position of need, and it's a great player. Like, they missed on Malachi Corley and Arian Smith. Like, they have pretty much no one behind Garrett Wilson. I like it a lot. Moving on to the Detroit Lions. I've been thinking about this pick the last few minutes, going back and forth. At first, I'm thinking defensive end. Their depth behind Aiden Hutchinson, not that outstanding. Then I thought about the fact that Taylor Decker has apparently been dealing with pain recently. We've seen Frank Ragnow already retire for them. So then I'm leaning tackle. There's still a lot of tackles available. They don't want to reach too much. I don't know who would be their position of choice. This is a tough one for me. I'm thinking Monroe Freeling. I believe in the hype of his tape and just that full frame that can develop. They have Hank Fraley as the offensive line coach there in Detroit. Yeah, it sucks when you already have Taylor Decker drafting for depth. Yeah, I think they're still competing, so I'm actually switching it up. I'm going Keldrick Falk. I'm going to go defensive end. I think they can use the stout run defender, and hopefully he's got the body he can keep developing. He's an athletic freak, just not a big pass rush menu yet. So add that to their defensive line behind Aiden Hutchinson. And then on the interior, they still have Tyleek Williams and Aleem McNeil, who needs to get healthy. I think that could be a great defensive line.
I like that. That's good.
I don't think I've seen that too often.
No.
But I think it's a position of need. When I looked up and down their roster weeks ago, I found that not much behind Aiden Hutchinson, and I like that matchup there.
Yeah, and so that puts me on the board with the Minnesota Vikings. And we talked about how in past podcasts about how the Vikings are kind of in cap hell, and they're going to have to restructure a whole hell of a lot to just make it under the cap this year. And so a lot's going to be shaken up. I'm sure that their needs are going to look different by the time the draft comes. as are a lot of these teams, if we're being 100% realistic. But as it stands right now, PFF will tell you that they have running back, center, and DB. If I were them in the first round, given the lack of DB talent available that you can project to be available at 18, I feel like you would reach on Avion Terrell or McNeil Warren. I don't think that they are mid first round picks. I think they're later first round picks. And that would put me at shoring up their defensive line.
Yeah, I think there's a real chance they cut Hargrave and Jonathan Allen.
Mm-hmm. And if there was one guy that I could compare to the Incredible Hulk, it would be Caleb Banks. And if you have ever...
See a therapist, Caleb Banks. You need to get this under control.
No, but more along the lines of if he is pissed off and he really wants it, he's 6'6", 330, and he's scary. He's a scary human being. I watched his tape at the Senior Bowl, and when he really wanted it, there wasn't anyone that could really stop him from doing whatever the heck he wanted on the defensive interior. The only problem is that when he doesn't want it, he gets pushed around, and he's 6'6", 330.
That's lame.
It is kind of lame. And so, in the same Incredible Hulk fashion, if you've ever watched The Avengers, you'd know that there's a scene where he goes, the secret was I could control it all the time.
Wow.
And so if he can just turn on and turn off this, whatever flip is switching on in his head to make him the savage that he is.
Brian Flores can harness it.
If Brian Flores can harness it, I think this would be a steal at 18.
Love it.
I like that. I feel like he makes a lot of sense under Flores. I feel like Flores is the ultimate light of fire under your ass. If he gets into play hard in a competitive team, that'd be scary as an NFC North opponent. Carolina's Panthers are sitting here with a very good offensive line in front of Bryce Young. They have a wide receiver need outside of the Cokeheads and Jalen Coker, as well as Ted McMillan, who's
that what they
great
call
for
him?
them. I'm a Cokehead.
Oh, God.
They spent another first-round pick on a wide receiver. Christ, I'm blanking.
Tedero McMillan.
2 years ago.
Xavier Legette.
Xavier Legette.
Sorry, when you're making these picks, I'm thinking about my next picks.
No,
I'm
you're
not.
good.
I'm locked in, dude.
You're
Don't
good.
worry about it.
Kenyon Sadiq is absolutely intriguing for me here. Their tight end room is a little bit dry. They have...
I don't even know.
Yeah,
I have
don't even
no
know.
idea.
They have
Tommy
Tommy
Tremble.
Tremble. There's a Texas guy who's big who didn't really turn out very well.
I'm sitting here looking at Sadiq, and he's staring me right in the eyes, and I'm kind of entranced by his eyes and his beautiful big brown biceps. But my attraction is being drifted to another player. The Panthers linebacker room is desolate. They really have no one you've ever heard of before. And
Is he going to do it?
linebacker 2 for Connor, and somebody who is much higher on my board, a guy who tested at a 9.3 athletic score, finished 5th in Heisman voting, an elite athlete, surprisingly, with elite production. This is kind of a no-brainer to me, honestly. I'll take Jacob Rodriguez.
Boom. Jacob Rodriguez is a savage. I love Jacob Rodriguez. Walk me through his year in his combine.
Rodriguez had 11 turnovers this year forced, I believe, between forced fumbles and interceptions. He's elite at the peanut punch. He gets the ball out of guys' hands very easily. He played behind a great defensive line at Texas Tech, but made play after play after play. Went to the Heisman voting because of how electric he was defensively and really made a run to be the best defender in the country. He won the top linebacker award, as Matt referred to in our last episode. Came into the combine. People are expecting him, because he's white and looks kind of slow, to be a below-average athlete, and he proved us wrong. He ended up being an elite athlete, and that really answered every question you could possibly have about Rodriguez. The whole downside with him was that he wasn't going to be an athlete. At 6'1", about 235, he's a little bit undersized, but I don't care. He's a winner. He's a ball player. He'll set the tone and be a captain of your defense for years to come. And there's really no questions about him now that the athletic things have been answered.
The most cerebral player in this draft is Jacob Rodriguez.
Him and Caleb Downs right there.
There is an argument for Caleb Downs, but to me, there's no question it's Jacob Rodriguez. Man, I cannot stress enough how great of a pick this would be for the Carolina Panthers in round 1. But that being said, from the Green Bay Packers on the clock right now via trade is the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys, they really need to go defense here. Now that they signed Javonte, they're pretty much locked on the entire offensive side of the ball. I think they're going to be an elite offense next year. They got holes in lots of spots besides D tackle. Their corner room, I think you can run with another year, but safety, linebacker, edge, all positions of need. Immediately, I was drawn to Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I think he's reasonable to take him here. But I'm looking further down my board, and I think I'm going to go with another guy similar to what I did last time, just an athletic freak, a guy that is 260 plus pounds, and you're not sure if he's an elite pass rusher, but defending the run can be really important, and the Cowboys were terrible against that last year. And I think that Quinnen Williams and Oso Digizua are both pass rushing interior players. So I'm going to select T.J. Parker here and really just be that stout run defender for them on defense. And hopefully that will allow Christian Parker to do some interesting stuff with their defense.
That would put the Cowboys at taking Thieneman and then T.J. Parker. And I really like that for him.
There's actually a world where they could take 2 safeties, which would be sick. I'm guessing they're going to address that in free agency.
Yeah.
But they have 2 needs.
That'd be nasty if they went McNeil Warren and
That would be so
awesome.
awesome.
That would actually be crazy.
They're just flying around like the idea, the Legion of Boom, just flying around full speed, hammering people.
Yeah.
like a DeJean and Quignon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That panned out for them. They won a Super Bowl year 1. So the Steelers on the board. Lucky for them, no other team at the back end of this draft needs a quarterback, and you'll hear a lot that quarterbacks need a specific amount of starts in college to be actually viable to draft. And Ty Simpson is one of those players that doesn't have that. But if you watch his tape through weeks 1 through 4, he was the consensus number 1 quarterback, regardless of, not just between him and Fernando Mendoza, the number 1 quarterback in college football. And for that, if I am the Steelers, I don't see next year you being able to take a quarterback unless things go south, and how the roster is structured. You got to win now. And so it makes sense to me to draft Ty Simpson from Alabama, try to bring in a free agent.
Yep.
And see which one's better. If one doesn't pan out, you had another dart. So I don't know. Do you guys have any takes on that one? I think that this is a pretty common one to take.
I think Rodgers is going to be the starter. I think there's a lot of smoke. He loves to talk his talk to the media. I think Rodgers is going to be the starter. I think he's ready to allow there to be a young guy with him.
Yeah.
I don't know if you really want Mike McCarthy in 2026 to be developing a young quarterback, but I think it makes sense for the Steelers, even if I don't know how well it's going to go.
Well, so Rodgers was on the McAfee podcast, as he frequently does, and he was talking about that there was no progress in contract talks for the 2026 season with the Steelers.
I think he signed with them last year in June or July.
Yeah, but the offer was on the table. The offer was there.
He's having his fun.
I don't know. This guy, he blows a lot of smoke. He inhales a lot of smoke, and he blows it, too.
Amen.
Join the club, brother.
All right. Chargers are on the board, and Miles is picking it for him.
So the value pick here to me is Monroe Freeling, but they're set at tackle with Rashawn Slater and Joe Elton the outside, 2 elite pieces.
He's too big.
If I'm going to take an offensive lineman here, I need a guy with guard versatility, and Freeling is not that. He's a guy with a 7-foot wingspan, elite tools, quick feet, but he doesn't really translate well to the tackle position. His skill set doesn't lend itself to that. I'm looking at Emmanuel Pregnone here from Oregon, a power-oriented guard who plows through guys and sets the tone, especially in a man-gap run scheme that Harbaugh loves to run.
True.
With the Chargers. However, with Mike McDaniel, they're going to lead more towards agile interior offensive line guys. So mine is going offensive line here. But then I think about their need at edge.
Ooh.
Khalil Mack likely on his way out. They traded for Odafe Owe last season. He had a good year for them, but they have a ton of cap space. And I have a sensation in my body that is telling me that Tyler Linderbaum, going from Harbaugh brother to Harbaugh brother, Linderbaum has apparently not been in contact with Eric DeCosta and the Ravens GM in terms of contract extensions, and I have a feeling that the Chargers are willing to pay an absolute premium.
They got the money.
They have the money, and they really have a needed interior offensive line. I have a sneaking suspicion that Linderbaum will end up on the Chargers. Therefore, I'm going to go with the next highest guy on my board, a guy who has outlier, shorter than Ruben Bay in short arms, barely above 30 inches, Cassius Howell, the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Howell presents as an elite athlete despite his arm length and a guy who won on tape over and over again. His length will hurt him. There's no question about it. He wins with speed to power. He likes to get outside of guys' arms. But he has enough power to get through guys. He's great against the run. If you're the Chargers, you set a floor here with an edge, and you take a premium position in the first round and hope that Howell can overcome that arm length.
Do you guys remember a couple months ago, I was watching Cassius Howell film, and I was like, this guy is the best edge in this class.
Like David Bailey, Cassius Howell was popping off the screen.
I'm not on that train.
No, I'm saying
anymore.
at the time.
But at the time,
we watched a couple games of each, and Cal was popping.
Yeah, I'm not on that train anymore. But there was a point in time where I was like, Cassius Howell is the man.
Yeah.
As Miles kind of articulated, there are weaknesses to his game. There are things that he can't control that he has to work around. If you're looking for a pass rusher, he is your guy. He is predator level.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just savage. The only weakness is the run stopping. I don't see him being able to stop the run. He's a little light, a little short, but love the pick.
But there's not a lot of perfect players in this range or in this draft in general.
No.
And if you can have one thing that's your craft, I think it's worth it. Moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles, I think this pick became pretty easy for me. Kenyon Sadiq had a big range. I think there's a chance you could see him go in the top 12 picks. But you kind of run down these teens into the 20s, and there's not a lot of teams with a glaring tight end need. I think I wouldn't call this a backstop, but a pretty likely landing spot for Kenyon Sadiq is here to the Eagles. Dallas Goedert's a free agent. I think their second tight end's also a free agent. So we'll see what happens in free agency here. They could really use a blocking tight end. You know, their running scheme is going to change now that Jeff Stoutland's leaving. But they don't have besides A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith now, they have no wide receiver 3, no tight ends. They could use another versatile weapon. There's a chance A.J. Brown leaves. I think that just an athletic freak makes sense to the Eagles.
Yeah.
Bringing Kenyon Sadiq. I don't know if Sean Mannion is going to be able to create an offense that can work to his abilities, but we don't know what Sean Mannion can do at all. So here's to hoping. I think tight end Kenyon Sadiq makes sense to the Eagles here.
All right.
To hoping.
That puts me on the board with the Cleveland Browns again. And they acquired this 24th pick from Jacksonville. And at the time, what seemed like an absurd trade for Jacksonville and a no-brainer for the Cleveland Browns. I still love the value that Cleveland got from this pick, from that trade. At the time, you'd imagine that it was going to be better than the 24th pick, but it's the 24th. I really wouldn't complain with it. At 6, they took Jordan Tyson, my number 1 wide receiver in this class, and that leaves them with another need at quarterback and then offensive line. And seeing that, what's his name? Ty Simpson was taken from the Steelers. I drafted Ty Simpson to the Steelers, so I don't know why I spaced on his name.
It's hard to GM so many teams at once.
I know, right?
Most guys don't.
I'm not even getting paid to do
They
this.
don't have it as tough as us.
There's a clear person that I would draft right here, and his name is Monroe Freeling. They have a need at guard and at tackle. Monroe Freeling was left tackle at Georgia, and he had a pretty insane year, and his measurables are 6'7", 350. He is just when you look at him, you're like, I don't think I could ever get past this man. This man is a wall.
Yeah.
And that is just what it is. And I will succumb to my fate. Miles talked a little bit about Monroe Freeling in the last podcast, so I'll let him touch on him for a bit before we move to his pick with Chicago.
Yeah, Freeling with Simpson, ironically, that's Alabama. Freeling for Georgia started off the year very rough in the first half. He got ripped apart. In the second half of the season, his film was great to bordering on elite. That's a small sample size you're like betting on there, but as we know, NFL teams like to bet on tools. Freeling has a 7-foot wingspan, 7 feet. He has great feet. It's hard for guys to get outside of him, and he has the best film in pass protection. If you're betting on that small sample size, which if you're the Browns, you kind of have to bet on because you have an immediate need to tackle. If you're the Browns here, you're sitting here going, God damn, this draft fell right in our hands. It's very common for Freeling to be mocked to the Browns at 6. That's becoming a common happening right now. They get Tyson, and then they get their pick of the litter, and it ends up Freeling falling to them at 24. You have to love it here if you're the Browns.
Yep.
At this point, I'd be shocked if it fell that far. It's hard to find the team in the tens that wants to take a tackle, but if he fell that far, it'd be so good for the Browns.
Well, I think the thing for me with Freeling is that he's not a finished product where he stands right now.
Nope. But
And
he's
if
also a beast.
But if I'm going to take a tackle at 6, I'm expecting him to be
Totally.
the guy.
Yep.
And so getting him at 24 feels like such a great value. And then you also got, in my opinion, a bona fide top 10 talent. So,
No, I think this is ideal for the Browns. Jordan Tyson, Monroe Freeling.
yeah. All right, Miles.
The Bears.
I'm glad we have a peak on our audio, folks.
Sorry about that. I get excited, fellas. You know how I am. Chicago Bears are sitting here. My arch nemesis is a Packers fan. They have an immediate need at the defensive interior. They haven't invested a lot of assets there. There's 2 young men who are sitting there. Caden McDonald, a awesome run stopper from Ohio State, who doesn't have a proven track record with his pass game rush. McDonald presents the higher floor here. But I'm going to lead towards Peter Woods. Peter Woods, 2 years ago, had outstanding top 10 level film. Before this year, is projected to be a top 5 pick. Woods, for a lot of people throughout the season, was in the 12 to 15 range. He's consistently fell and fell and fell. He didn't perform with the combine.
Hold up. In October, he was projected to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
That's crazy. This
Yeah.
is a catastrophic fall off from Peter Woods.
Exactly. He had a very poor season. If I'm the Bears, I feel like the electricity and the vibes that Ben Johnson represents kind of gives like a certain fire underneath guys, and my bet is that Woods in a competitive franchise presents the Bears with an upside that they can't really appreciate with Caden McDonald. Woods is the high upside pick here for me if I'm the Bears. He presents pass rush upside and an ability to show film that has been elite. I'll take Peter Woods for the Bears, which I'm personally be more scared of as a Packers fan than Caden McDonald, because I think the upside with Woods is that he's a top 10 tackle.
I really couldn't have said that much better myself. I'm looking this range exactly looking at Peter Woods and Caden McDonald, assuming Caleb Banks doesn't fall. I love the Bears hitting defensive tackle there. I don't know what Dennis Allen would prefer. I think I could see him leaning towards the reliability of Caden McDonald.
Yeah.
He kind of wants his trust his defensive backs to cover and just make sure that the pocket gets crushed. Doesn't necessarily need a guy to win, but I love Peter Woods there. And that brings me to the Buffalo Bills. A lot of people would often look at wide receiver going in this spot, but just today we saw the DJ Moore trade. They used a second-round pick and a good amount of salary cap on that. So wide receiver, I don't think they could even consider touching anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I still think they have a pretty big defensive line need, specifically at edge. And I think this team, it makes a lot of sense as long as Josh Allen is playing for them. They're in a win-now window. So I'm going to take Akeem Mesidor. You know, the whole knock on him is his whole life. I forget what all the interpersonal details delayed his college career, but he's already 25. I think he'll be like 26 by the time he's playing next year. But that doesn't matter if he's 26 when he can have a 6-year career from 26 to 32 on the Buffalo Bills that are competing every year. And it's a good value. For his talent, this is a good value to get him at pick 26. He's kind of like a Ruben Bain light. He's a demon off the edge. You love him as a pass rusher. His motor keeps going. And he'll fight in the run game. That's not his talent. But I think this makes sense for the Bills. They have Greg Rousseau at edge, who's great, and then fall off. No one else.
I think the only thing that pushes Mesidor from the teens to the 20s is his age.
Totally.
No question. If he was 21, he'd be a top 8 pick.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Definitely. Yep. I agree with that. So that puts me at San Francisco. They're on the clock. Have they already moved off of Ayuk?
Yeah, Ayuk's not coming back. That's confirmed.
Yep,
It's official.
confirmed. Yep. And so that leaves their wide receiver room pretty light, especially because Juwan Jennings is also out the door, right?
Most likely.
He's a free agent at this point.
And so if you would have asked me maybe even like 3 weeks ago, if I thought Omar Cooper Jr. was a first-round talent, I would have said, F no, that is not correct at all. But after seeing his combine and listening to people like D'Angelo Pons and the other Indiana corners talk about how Omar Cooper Jr.'s route tree is crazy and his release is comparable to Devontae Adams. Obviously, these guys have never gone against Devontae Adams. Omar Cooper Jr. is not Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams would send them into another dimension.
Yep. But there's something to that in how Elijah Surratt was coming into the Senior Bowl and the draft and the combine and like the draft process. People thought Surratt was going to be the higher of the two.
It's been a crazy untalked about process of Surratt was the lock in the second round. Now it feels like it's more like a fourth rounder.
Yeah.
And him and Cooper just absolutely flip flop.
Yeah. But if you guys remember when I talked about Jeremiah Love's 2024 Penn State absurd contact balance play and that being the play of the year, Matt brought up how if that was the play of the year last year or 2 years ago, the Omar Cooper Jr. touchdown where he just levitated, his foot was about to touch the ground out of bounds. He just kept it, levitated up, got the touchdown to win the game, essentially.
Both games against Penn State.
Yeah. I don't know. There must be bad juju in Penn State.
Yeah, that was a legendary play.
Yeah. Fun fact, we were renovating my house with my in-laws and my extended family. Miles was there. Miles didn't know what was going on.
They're all renovating the house. I'm sitting in the basement fucking sipping beers and popping zins. it's like 2:00. They're all up working downstairs. I'm like, I'm going to go watch football and hammer beers.
Yeah. All of a sudden, we hear, oh! Oh! Everyone kind of just stops what they're doing, looks around. My father-in-law looks at me, and he goes, you want to go check on that? And I'm like, I'll be right back. I go down, and Miles is standing up maybe like 2 feet from the TV screen, and he goes, you have to watch this. Replays it. Omar Cooper completes one of the craziest catches I've ever seen in college football. I go, yep, that was valid. Walk upstairs, they go, is Miles okay? And I go, yeah, he just saw one of the craziest football catches that we will ever see in our entire lifetimes.
It's an emotional moment for him.
And all that to being said, I think that Omar Cooper Jr. finding a spot in San Francisco is a great landing spot for him. And I think that you can argue better players can be drafted there, but I don't think that there's a clear argument that they would be better than Omar Cooper Jr. for this team.
I love it.
Real quick comment on that. It's crazy when the Niners pick Pearsall. It's like, wow, they pick Pearsall. They have so many good receivers already.
Yeah.
Now Ayuk and Debo are gone,
Yeah.
and Pearsall is so injured.
Yeah.
Like, crazy how fast the
If
NFL
I was the
is.
GM of the 49ers, I would require Omar Cooper Jr. after drafting him to wear a bulletproof vest around everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, crazy.
I've got the Houston Texans sitting here. Their defense is platinum level, perfect. McNeil Warren's a drop guy here for me who I would be comfortable taking in the 14 to 22 range, but he's dropped at this level. They already have Jalen Petrie. They have a really solid secondary. And I'm looking at tackle here. I'm much, much lower on Blake Miller than PFF. Steve Mensch from the Todd McShay Show watched all of Miller's reps. He's an offensive line specialist and thought that Miller was a fourth-round talent at best. People are talking him up because he's a leader in the locker room, and he has 4 years now of starting experience at Clemson. I'm not convinced he's actually a winner at the NFL level. I'm also looking at Caleb Lomu, another individual who has dropped thus far. Did Lomu get taken?
Nope.
Caleb Lomu, another dropper this far in the draft, as well as Max Ianachor, who's a tackle project on the outside. None of those guys really make me feel comfortable for the Texans, despite them having traded away their best tackle back-to-back years now in a puzzling move of just continuing to index on themselves and bet on themselves to develop competent offensive line play. The man with the highest floor here, who presents a clear starting level guard, at least a, close to average league level guard in the NFL, is Emmanuel Pregnon. Pregnon has power upon power upon power. He pushes through guys over and over again on film. Kind of slow feet. Definitely doesn't have tackle versatility, but the Houston just needs guys who can play and be at least decent. Pregnon presents the highest floor for me.
He's listed at 318 on PFF.
Yeah. His film suggests that he's just a mauler.
Yeah.
He goes through guys all the time. He doesn't play like he's 318. And Oregon against the film against Penn State, the film against Ohio State, he deals with power very well and consistently wins in man gap speeds up through the middle, which is what the Texans want to run. They got David Montgomery. They want to run power.
Nope. I absolutely love that. I think that makes a lot of sense. A lot of tackles in this range. It's hard to know what order they're going to go in. Pregnon's like the one guard that's still there in the first round, like that. Moving on to the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the second day that you can mock a player at pick 29 to the Chiefs because of the Trent McDuffie trade. And I really have to think on this one. The Chiefs have more needs than you would think. I think across the defensive line is still in need. Besides Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, not a lot there. So I was thinking Cade McDonald. I think the receiver room needs some help. What are you thinking, Connor?
They are. So just keep in mind, they already drafted Jeremiah Love.
Yep.
In this situation.
Yes, they drafted Jeremiah Love. That's a great point at pick 9. Denzel Boston is definitely very interesting.
Ooh.
We have not seen a real downfield threat with the Chiefs that you can actually trust to win any sort of jump ball scenario.
I love this.
Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice are not guys you like in that scenario.
Well, is Rashee Rice even going to
he hasn't been indicted in the court process yet. Initially the woman didn't press charges. She started to press charges last week. We don't know at this point.
Yeah, and so it could be one of those things where he plays this entire season, then as it's resolved next year, he has suspension time. But
Matt, I absolutely love this fit.
Well, I haven't even declared it yet.
If you do it,
they still have Zion Young. I think that's a good option at edge. Lee Hunter, another D tackle, and I think even offensive tackle is in need. They're cutting Jawan Taylor. He's infamous for those false starts where he moves a little bit ahead of the snap.
Well, the other thing that you have to consider is Patrick Mahomes coming off an injury. He's going to be less mobile. Yeah,
that's a good point.
And they have needs at offensive line.
I think saying all that, man, this is tough. I'm settling between Caden Proctor at tackle or Denzel Boston at receiver. Let's do it for the clicks. Let's do Denzel Boston to the Chiefs.
That's the right pick. That's the right pick.
All skill positions, Mahomes. Pick him up in Dynasty, pick him up in Fantasy. Yes. Denzel Boston to the Chiefs.
Just Mahomes has never had consistent weapons outside of the Tyreek Kelsey era.
But they have no tackle, too.
They have no tackle, which is fair.
It's Jalen Moore from the Niners. He was a backup. Now he's staying there.
They have Humphrey on the interior. They have Trey Smith on the interior. They have their first-round pick from last year on the outside.
Sumatai is playing left guard. He's doing fine. Josh Simmons at left tackle.
Fairly solid offensive line play. They need receiver production, especially since you can't count on
Rice.
Rashee Rice to be there.
Nope.
They need an X. Mahomes has never had an X who can win jump balls.
Texans defensive end Danielle Hunter agrees to a 1-year, $40 million extension.
That didn't do anything.
That's a lot of money.
Well, you heard it here literally first, unless you have any apps that told you before this came out.
But he's a great player, so it makes sense for him.
And we took Pregnon, and that also fits one of their needs that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Mahomes has never had a down-the-field X winner. Boston's not perfect. He's not wiggly. He doesn't have any slot versatility. He is a downfield, post, crosser winner. Mahomes has never had that. He can hit him on deep balls. This completely changes the complexity of the entire Chiefs offense. Love in Boston in one offseason.
I just wonder if Andy Reid will use him right.
Let's assume that he will. I think this is a home run 10 out of 10 pick for the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that puts me on the board at the Broncos. They arguably, if it was me saying right now after watching how the Patriots performed in the playoffs, with Bo Nix healthy, I would have said that they would have been probably in the Super Bowl this year.
Yep, I think so.
They're a team that doesn't have a whole lot of needs. Definitely drafting for luxury here. And I've seen Stowers go to them here, giving Sean Payton his tight end, his Jimmy Graham, his kind of Swiss Army knife.
The Joker roll.
I like that pick, but I don't think Eli Stowers is a first-round draft pick. That being said, the only wide receiver that they have of real value right now is Courtland Sutton.
Can I just pose? Do you like C.J. Allen here?
I don't like CJ.
They have
Allen
two
here.
linebacker free agents, Justin Sternada and Alex Singleton, played snaps for a lot of snaps.
I think they can fill that need.
They
In
definitely can.
If I'm looking at their defense, that's not where I think they need to fill.
Yeah, no, keep going receiver.
Hey, I never said I was going to go receiver.
Didn't you say receiver room?
I said the receiver room.
Keep talking about the receiver room.
Yeah,
And just
They
C.J.
only
Allen,
have Courtland Sutton.
he's staring at me.
And they have some decent other players. I think it's Mims over there too.
Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin,
Yep.
Pat Bryant.
But one guy that I think would turn this wide receiver room upside down would be Chris Bell.
Oh, whoa.
I love Chris Bell. I love his tape. 6'2", 220, athletic freak.
Interesting.
Not the greatest hands of any player, but if you're looking for reliability, you have Courtland Sutton, the typical guy that
And he's getting older.
will catch any, I don't know. But it's a toss-up for me between Casey Concepcion and Chris Bell. I think Casey Immaculate Concepcion would be a great pick here.
That's really good.
Would be a great pick here. But I like the upside of Chris Bell, and I think at the end of the first round, I would draft for upside instead of the reliability. I think that you can find that later in this draft on day 2, but if you're going to take a wide receiver in day 1, I think Chris Bell is the pick here.
Patriots here at 31 after an unbelievable overperformance of the season with a all-time easy schedule. We're talking easiest in the past 20 years. C.J. Allen is sitting here for them at linebacker. They have an obvious need at linebacker for the Patriots. They're paying 2 guys that are older right now. The first thing that comes to mind for me as the Patriots is offensive line. Blake Miller, who you know I don't like. Caden Proctor, who I'm personally not willing to take a chance on in the first round. I'm too worried about his weight. I'm too worried about his ability to produce despite his weight. Maxi Nacho is a project on the outside. I'm interested in him as well as Caleb Lomu once again. Lomu I'm lower on. He has no real demonstration of dealing with power in the Pac-12 out west. I don't trust that Lomu can be a true first-round talent, but this is kind of a best player available here for me at the Patriots who have needs everywhere. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren has fallen much too far.
Way too far.
He didn't test well at the combine. He's a somewhat average athlete, but he has elite length, and he can be versatile anywhere in your defense. The Patriots demonstrated they can form a good defense to great defense with limited talent with their DC and Vrabel. McNeil-Warren provides them with a flexible option in the back end, a guy who can play in the box, a guy who can drop back in coverage. He provides them a nickel, safety, even hybrid linebacker player that they can insert anywhere in the defense that they want. McNeil-Warren's just the best player available here for me.
Yeah, there's concerns with obviously coming out of Toledo with the competition.
Yep.
But I feel like there's this like Toledo DB, like just the
same DB coach is still there
Yeah.
from when they had Quinyon.
And every time that there's a DB coming out of Toledo, everyone goes, but it's Toledo. Are you sure they're gonna be good? And then they get to the league and they're really fucking good.
Amen.
Get this Toledo DB coach a fucking promotion to Ohio State or somewhere. Get him some fucking money, dude. He's earned it.
Yeah, I'll round us out with the Seattle Seahawks. I wanted to go guard here. They don't have Clint Kubiak anymore. I was thinking about trying to use a Caden Proctor at guard. I don't know if they want someone that heavy in a zone-based scheme. So I think I'm going to go corner. You got options of Avion Terrell and Colton Hood here. Sometimes people have preferences for arm length at corner. I don't know exactly what Mike McDonald thinks, but just a versatile player. I'm going to go Avion Terrell. They're losing Josh Jobe and Tariq Woolen in free agency, so that corner two is one of the only holes on their roster.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to go with Devin Witherspoon and Nick Emanwari, close out that secondary, Avion Terrell to the Seahawks.
Have you thought about Colton Hood there?
I've thought about it, and I think I like Avion Terrell better, unless you're one of those teams that has a preference on arm length.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think Avion Terrell's movement skills and just awareness, and he's got that brother tick up, his brother in the NFL.
Well, the thing is that there's that threshold of weight that some teams have.
Yep.
Some teams say that doesn't make any sense. If you're good at football, you're good at football. Avion Terrell, 5'11", 180, very light. Colton Hood is standing at 6 foot 195.
Yeah, you can't put a number on tape, baby.
Terrell was elite on tape. He was the one Clemson guy who didn't really fall off this past year. He has elite like mirroring skills and ability to be agile in space. I think his tape's great, and I think that it would be an awesome landing spot with him in Seattle. I think Mike McDonald would maximize him with this loaded Seattle secondary. I love the pick.
All right, so I'm gonna rip through this mock draft here.
Can you just scroll up and down?
Yeah, I am gonna do that.
And you're gonna say all the word names.
Mendoza, Bailey, Reese, Bain, Magnolia, Jason Styles. Just kidding.
Out.
Goodbye.